Giggity giggity. All right, welcome back to the Cole Sussman of the show. We're going to cover Bitcoin and Ethereum and traditional markets. Not a lot has happened since Tuesday when I last did a live show. So I might spend a little bit more time answering questions on Q&A, or potentially not go a whole hour and a half this time if I can knock on wood and make that happen, and get a little bit more time playing soccer with my kids here. So the whole big question that is going on in crypto right now. The big question in crypto and traditional markets is, when can we define this either as a bear market rally or what we just saw was a reversal? And you can see this both in, if you follow the traditional market news, that question is in play. Some people think, hey, these indicators are firing off, the low was in June. And then some folks are saying, hey, this is still defining it as a bear market rally. If you scan across crypto Twitter, you're going to see very similar things. I'm starting to see more macro bulls come out. Not people saying, hey, we're 10% candles, every day. I'm not seeing that. But a lot of folks saying that the next bull cycle is now beginning and we have seen a low. And then a lot of folks are saying another leg down. It's not quite even split, but those voices are starting to emerge. You're going to see it. And I mean, for good reason. This is a very important juncture, both for traditional, for U.S. finance, I guess, traditional finance and crypto. Is this a bear market rally, or was what we saw a reversal? And we're going to not be able to answer those questions in this live chat necessarily. But we're going to take a look at what will you see and what can you expect in either case, which I've already covered a few times, so we'll keep this short. So let's go get some Bitcoin. All right. One thing that I have been thinking about, kind of like price thoughts, TA thoughts. Almost if you do a sport like golf, you have thoughts when you're about ready to swing or whatever, swing thoughts. But my thoughts on TA here is, for this is Bitcoin that you're seeing. Bitcoin, for any moves to the upside, I'm not using it in my TA for overall, like what is crypto going to be doing. But for downside movement, I think Bitcoin can drag Ethereum down and crypto down. But Bitcoin is not going to drive crypto up. Am I making sense on that? So I'm only looking at breakage points to the downside for Bitcoin, and I'm not expecting anything fancy, or I'm not trying to set any levels. Ooh, breakout on Bitcoin, this and that. I don't think it's really that relevant, because it's going to be Ethereum that's going to lead that. Am I making sense? So I'll cover Ethereum here a little bit later. But to try to define the breakdown points for Bitcoin and where it would go should it cross those levels is if you look left here, out of all this activity from the original big drop down, you have this first, I guess you might call it first wick right there. Let me make a horizontal. That is a horizontal that price is kind of playing with right now. And that is the wick from June 14th. And it is around this price point right here. From a horizontal perspective, that is not a bad breakdown point, because let's assume that you don't have a trading channel set up like mine. It's going to allow you to essentially have the same trigger. If this area is broken, 23,275 is broken, you're gonna flood down about $1,000, and it should be rather swift. Not all in 1 hour. You could so price could easily. Let me go down to like the 15-minute chart. I would assume price would want to kind of putter around there and then come back up, use it as resistance, and then float down to that level. So after the breakage, you could have 2 days until the stronger move down. So I don't want anybody to, if you're going to use that horizontal there as a breakdown point, or if you've taken time to set up your trading channels like mine, but it's going to be roughly the same trigger. I don't know if I would expect a full-on breakage or violent volatility spike to the downside until it's been used as resistance, and that could take a couple of days. So hopefully, what I'm saying here for Bitcoin, here's the two main things is, and again, at least 2 days. So that would be over the weekend, and then you'd have to wait for market open on Monday. So it'd probably be more like 4 days at this point since it hasn't quite broken below. So you'd be looking at Monday, Tuesday until you'd see this really accelerate down if that level that I just gave you is broken. But the two main things for, I guess, Bitcoin analysis is this. Upside movement, it's not the heartbeat of crypto right now. So I breakout points to the upside, I almost think it's worthless in terms of the market leader. Breakdown point, it can totally turn the page on the chapter of what crypto is in right now. So if breakdown point, I would be using Bitcoin, perhaps in tandem with Ethereum, right? But if you're bullish or you think that things are taking another leg up, Ethereum's what you want to look at for key levels. If Bitcoin does break below this level and starts dragging crypto down, it would align with waiting till next week for market open Monday, market open of traditional markets, to start accelerating down, and perhaps over the weekend using that as resistance. So let's say this breaks below at Friday or Saturday, Sunday-ish, and early in the morning on Monday, it would be using this ascending point of control or this horizontal as resistance, and then perhaps a spike up on Monday, and then a head down with markets on Monday and or Tuesday. So it could take actually like 3 to 4 days after it breaks below there. So the timing on the trigger and what triggers to use and not use on Bitcoin is pretty much the only thing that I'm going to throw at you today, because nothing's happened and ETH is the market leader. So speak of the devil, I'm going to go move on to ETH now. All right, so downside leader, Bitcoin, potentially. All right. Let me get this a little bit shut up here. I have a similar setup on SPX too. All right. Now we're going to take a look at Ethereum. It is the market leader for crypto, at least to the upside. And again, I just covered Bitcoin. It could lead the market to the downside, gave you key trigger points. So if you're watching the recording of this, you'll want to watch my Bitcoin video for the day to have those trigger points. At what level would Bitcoin drag down at both Ethereum and most of crypto, and how far down and how fast would it go on the exact timing of that, and how Bitcoin would behave and on those key levels. So, but for Ethereum, I'm going to show you a very simple way to look at the chart here that you might, hopefully you appreciate. All right. We have a rectangle here, two halves, so a rectangle. See this? And it's split in half by the top of this rally and all these perfect wicks. All right. The top of the rectangle is the top of the consolidation, both before the most recent local high and the consolidation after that high. And I have it labeled, the top of that box is at 1925. These nice handy labels. The bottom of this rectangle is formed by, actually I have this label too, the daily 89 and the weekly 10. They are coming together, and that's roughly what the price point is here. Any price action within this, I still think it is a question mark on I guess the big question.
Give me the thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
I just scared the shit out of myself. I almost pissed my pants. I did not mean to press that. I actually jumped. I wish you could have seen it. It's like, what is going on? All right. Whoo. All right. Hopefully I never press that one again on accident. Anyway, wow. Okay. Holy shit. What was I trying to push? Okay. Anyway, so I don't think that it'll necessarily navigate all of these, but there is one way to think about this. I was making myself big to say this. The big question that I mentioned at the early onset of the Bitcoin portion of this is is this a bear market rally that we're in? Therefore, it'll end sometime rather soon. Maybe 2 weeks out, maybe now, maybe it's already over, right? Or is what we saw the bottom and we're getting a reversal both in traditional markets and in crypto, right? So that's what this box is going to help visualize, right? That's the big question in crypto. I'm going to show you an easy way to try to navigate that, because even though I personally made an early aggressive call that it was a bear market rally and it's over now, it easily could be wrong, right? Because I addressed it as, and I labeled my call as such. It is an early and aggressive call. But this box here, all right, and I showed you how to set up the same type of box with the top, the bottom, and how to split it in the middle from these wicks, is at any point that you're in either triangle, it is still a question mark of the big question. Are we in a bear market rally, which will end, or did we already hit bottom and we're in a reversal and we're going to continue up? However, if you're in the red triangle, the higher up in this triangle that you are, the better percentage chances you get within, I don't think it would go up to 100% chance, right? But the greater and greater that you are getting close to having a solid edge to the up direction. All right. So if you're at the top of this, maybe you have a tiny bit of edge for trading to the upside that, hey, this high, essentially the edge of, is this height going to be broken again? Or was that the top of the bear market rally? The edge increases, but I don't think you have a true edge, like a tradable edge of continuation to the upside above this 2000. Let me put a marker in this. To 2008 or 2033, but really, if you get over 2000, you're going above this. So it's more like, do we get a break above 2000 again or not? Essentially, is what this is. I don't think you have a true edge for that until 1925 is used as support. Just getting so if price, if price just gets above it, I don't think the edge for continuation above 2K is confirmed. I don't think you have a strong edge, a tradable edge, after it's used as support and then starts ticking up. Then you have a tradable edge with the confidence that this will be broken and continuation to the upside. And am I making sense? But as you get higher, but before that happens, as you get higher and higher in this red portion, this red half of the overall rectangle, your chances, they're getting slightly higher. So down here, your chances for upside might be, it might be dead even. It might even be 40% upside, something to that effect, or 50% up that side, something that's not a statistically tradable edge. And as you get higher, it might be 51%, 52%, 53%. And here, boom, okay, we're 60% edge. Bam, we can trade to the upside with confidence. And same for the inverse to the downside. But the cool thing about this is the downside is defined by some really strong EMAs that are aligning. The daily 89, which is your, and again, I've for returning viewers, sorry to bore you with this, but the daily 89 is essentially your litmus test. It is the key zone or target, both for resistance and support for bear market rallies, and how the juncture of when a bear market rally is no more, and actually it's a reversal that's going to continue going to all-time highs. And it works in traditional markets too. It's like the one, right? And it's lined up perfectly with the strongest single indicator out there, both in traditional markets and crypto, which is the weekly 10. So naturally, if you go below this, and again, inverse, so I said above this and use as support, but if you go below these two and use as resistance, then your edge very greatly flips, perhaps even a better edge than what you'd have here for the upside, but your edge to the downside would greatly increase. And that is, so using this nice little, Ethereum is like a nice clean chart right here. I actually feel, I don't know if the proud is the word, but like this should make sense to even, somebody who hasn't looked at price charts before, have a nice 2-color rectangle split into 2 triangles and defining when you have edge to either side. So how big is this range? That's a whole 10%. You can trade in this range, absolutely. I'm not saying, don't trade unless it breaks out. Yeah, there's plenty of money to be made in here. So I don't want to come across of that. But in terms of a continuation type of move, I don't think you have an edge until this happens. And Ethereum, for the upside, is going to define that much quicker than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's being a dog. So for the big question on the table, is this a bear market rally, or is what we saw down here, is this a true reversal and we're off to the races now? I think only ETH for crypto can answer that question right now. Could that change in the next 2 weeks? Yeah, maybe. But right now, it's not going to be BTC that's going to trigger the answer to that question for the upside answer. It's going to be ETH. And that's why I think this chart's really important. And if we, actually, I'm kind of curious. I bet it would align to some degree. But I wonder how far this would be on Bitcoin. So that's about 7.5%. Let me go back to Bitcoin. Where would Bitcoin be? So Ethereum edge to the downside. Okay. All right. Well, that actually makes freaking sense. I'm really glad that aligned. All right. Woo! This is perfect. I did not plan this. Thank goodness this is almost perfect. So you saw it was 7.5% downside when you have an edge for the Ethereum trigger, right? Look at what this is. It's just wildly 7.5%. And what is that? That's the bottom of the trading range. So if you go below this and use it as resistance, that perfectly aligns with what we're talking about on Ethereum. Perfectly aligns, right? For my Bitcoin video, I wasn't, so I did define an edge as this line. This is a short-term time frame edge. This would not be macro edge, like Cosas Verdes is right. You don't have an edge on that quite yet. Really, I mean, Bitcoin could come all the way down here and bounce and then go off to the moon. And I'd be dead wrong. I would just look right for a little bit. Similar to the idea of falling with style. Like, you think you're right with style, but you're not. It's sayonara, sucker. So I want to be careful. I actually did not define that during the Bitcoin portion. This is your short-term time frame trading edge to the downside, but to the more macro sense, getting a strong continuation move that could last a few months, I think it would be a breakdown below this trading range. All right. So, however, you can attack that a little earlier. If you break below so on Bitcoin, if you break below this and use it as resistance, let's see what that would be on Ethereum. I know this is an Ethereum video, but so to go down 2%, and then test whatever, where is it at right now? So if you want to do an earlier aggressive call on it, it would be similar to Ethereum breaking below this and using it as resistance. So if you wanted to front run the bigger signal down here, you would use Ethereum 821 as resistance, so you could front run this being used as resistance. But if you do that, you'd want to be very careful because it could easily take a big bounce from here, right? So if you were to trade something like that, resistance, and maybe hitting this line again, resistance, you would probably want to take profits and look to re-enter on another bounce up. I wouldn't see it just flying down from it. I would fully expect a bounce from here. So be careful if you try to front run the signal using this. You'd want to do a couple entries and treat the first trade to the downside as a shorter time frame one. And that, yeah, so hopefully, I mean, feel free to snapshot this and put this like on your own chart. And for the daily 89 and weekly 10, I just drew them in because they move so slowly anyway. But you can use the EMF or MTF EMA indicator to throw these on and keep them on if you want. Hell, I'll just throw on the weekly 10 right now so you can see. Boom. So I'm just guessing where it's going to go. It could be a little higher, thus it shrinks this triangle a little bit, but right now it's perfectly symmetrical based off where I have this projected. So anyway, that is Ethereum, and I hope this helps guide you throughout, the next potential week and a half or so, because it could chop around in here for quite a while and go on both sides of this line here. It could do that. So hopefully this helps guide you throughout the whole time until we get stronger resolution on one side or the other within this 10% range. And again, there's plenty of things to trade within this range. Okay. Should I do a quick SPX one? So I'm using this chart here for I really like this chart a lot. It's live. It fills in all the gaps. It's got, so the 1 hour indicators and small time indicators, they don't get weird, right? It's just fluid price, almost like Bitcoin that trades 24 hours a day. So anyway, I think that I have the feeling that August, yeah, that aligns with about Bitcoin too. I think it was pointing to it's going to resolve itself by. So breakdown point here or here, that would be August. Look at this. That'd be August 25th. Look at that, August 25th. Man, another thing's aligning. And I don't think this blue box is going to be touched by price. And this is August 23rd. And I have the same concept here. Connecting heights of high and lower highs, splitting a rectangle in the middle, having two triangles, which I don't have colored differently, but it looks kind of cool like this. And so this should give you a nice here. All right, so this is the S&P 500. I'm using the ticker US 500. All right, it fills in the gaps of closing hours and all that kind of stuff. All right. Connecting, and I'm on the 1 hour chart. I don't think this blue box will be touched. I think we're going to know the answer to the question, the big question for both crypto and traditional markets. And the big question is this a bear market rally which will end, or are we in a reversal and we're going to continue up and on from here? And we are at the juncture where the answer to that question, it will be answered very, very soon because of the relationship of bear markets with specifically the daily 89 EMA, which I should have had prepared, but I didn't. So give me about one more second to fumble around, which is the litmus test for bear market rallies. And look how far extended above it is. And the average it gets above in a bear market rally is about 4.5%. And a lot of times it only bumps its head in a bear market rally and it gets rejected. But the times it goes above, it does a double jump on it, and it gets only 4.5%. And right now it's pretty extended above that. From the point it crossed it, it's up freaking 7%. So this is really extended. So that's why I'm confidently saying the answer to the question, is this a reversal, meaning the bottom's in, or are we in a bear market rally? Because it's so extended from the main, what I consider the main indicator of defining bear market rallies, we gotta know soon. It can't just further extend and it's still a question. If it keeps further extending, well then shit. I mean, this wasn't a bear market rally. The edge to have continuation to the upside is going to get strong at that point. And again, even in that case though, for folks who are following S&P 500 in relation to crypto, is 100% of the time. I only backtested, I think, 4 decades, so about 40 years, maybe 45. It was maybe 50 years into the 70s. I think it was back to the 70s. Every time that you have a larger dump, and you have a reversal, those reversals, yes, they look like a bear market rally, but what they do is they go about 4.5% above the daily 89. But they still come back to touch it, and then they march on. And it's 100% of the time. Every time. Does that guarantee that'll happen if the answer to the question is we're up from here and it's a reversal? No, it doesn't guarantee it, but it makes it a very, very probable chance that this still will be touched. It doesn't have to be touched way down here. No, this could go sideways and have one strong wick down and come right back up and charge up. And so as this daily 89 here goes do-do-do-do, I mean, hell, wouldn't you have to wick down that low? See that? Because the angle of this, let me make this purple, is it's not very flat. Here we go, right there. So it could go sideways, but it has touched it. I would fully expect that it be touched. All right, but in a more immediate sense, so technically, you won't know until. So on a more macro sense, you actually, under that premise, you actually won't know the answer to the question for sure until you bounce off of this, and then you rebound from this and either get way above this high or not. You're not going to know until the second bounce on top, because looking back 40 years, when you do get above the daily 89, you bounce 2 or 3 times. There aren't really failure patterns on this where you go above this resistance and go straight down below it. I don't think that's happened one time. Not once. There might be one where it's squeaked out like this, like a small failure pattern, but not like some 4.5%. When it goes 4.5%, it does bounce from there, and it does get a second bounce or a third, right? So the big question, I mean, it actually could take a month and a half to answer that big question. But for the question here, and so the S&P coming down to this, that could answer the question for crypto. Is that a bear market rally? That would probably bring Bitcoin down to 20K, from which Bitcoin could easily bounce, or 21K actually. It'd probably be closer to 21.3. So as S&P is down here, which is at 40, so let's say it takes its time to get over there. Let's say it hits it about here at this horizontal, and so let's say this EMA has curled up, and this horizontal right here. So you essentially have double support. Bitcoin at that time should be close to 21K, and that would be a bounce point for Bitcoin for Bitcoin too. But in general, for the purposes of that question, are we going to go down to that daily 89 or continue charging up? I think the answer to that question has to be given by roughly August 22nd. I simply don't think this blue box is going to be hit. And let me put some price points on this. And the bottom, I didn't define these, the rectangle. This, looking back, is a weekly support. See this green box here? This is weekly support that I have drawn in. So that's why I don't have the rectangle only like this. Based off of this local support here. I have it down a little farther. And you see the failure pattern that happened at the bottom end of that weekly support that originated back then. So the question, I strongly think it's going to break down, because 100% of the time it's hit the daily 89. Could it go up and charge and have it, the bottoms in from there? It could happen, actually. And that's how it's happened every time you do have a reversal. But I think, if this, or when this breaks down to touch the daily 89, it's going to be helpful for, dealing with crypto, is you can time that, and you could have the confidence in crypto that, hey, we're not going to see a market bounce until S&P 500 hits this daily 89. That's why this is I think this is going to be a very helpful visual. Even though this isn't crypto, I think it's just drastically going to help you. And I think, looking at it, it's just so easy. So I'm going to label this. And again, the ticker that I'm using for this is US 500, and you might want to use this. I'm going to label these, so in case you want to throw this on your own chart, I have the bottom of it here, the top of it here, and that's probably, I guess this support over here. So I'll label the weekly support like this. There you go, top and bottom of the weekly support. The bottom of the weekly support is also the bottom of the rectangle, right? And then you know how to connect lower highs together to split this in half using the projector tool. So this is a projector tool, and you don't have to make it a fancy gradient color like me. And there you go. This will help guide you of what is crypto's more immediate move. We're going to have an answer to that I'm thinking by August 22nd, because this is your MC Hammer box. Can't touch this. And that's S&P 500. Hopefully that helps you within your crypto journey over the next week or two. All right, now let's answer some questions. Not for sure if anybody thinks this just looks stupid. Raise your hand if you think this looks stupid. I think it looks nice and clean. Yeah, I'm kind of like playing around with these different colors and stuff. Anyway, I'll visualize it. All right. That's what my dad... Hey, Fleck. Nice. My dad calls me a failure pattern. Okay, that is pretty funny. All right. Well, I'm going to... you could go ahead and fire away with... Is KuCoin down? No, I don't think KuCoin's down. I was just recently using it. Here is a neat tool. So I was just telling my VIPs how I plan to use this. I'm not going to go into that. But you can change time frames and see what's been hot. So this is Crypto Bubbles, cryptobubbles.net. And you can see the week, what's been hot for the week, or for the day, or for the hour. And then you could have the Excel spreadsheet version of what's going on down here. You can pick, you only get the top 100 because you don't want to piss with, smaller coins. You can see how the breakdown of, what has done best this month or what has done best this week by clicking this. Very, very, very handy tool. And yeah, so this is along the lines of helping to visualize things. This might help you out in your journey. I just thought this was a neat tool, and I'm not going to go into an elaboration of how I plan to personally use it within my crypto journey. But if you're in the Discord community, it'll probably take me about a month to figure out my plan on how to use that. But I do plan on integrating it into their cool little thing. All right. Okay. Well, I typically get the request for so. Kadena blew through what I thought was going to be a bounce point and then went right back into it and might be trying to use it as support. ADA has been pretty aggressive to the downside. I'm not going to try to explain any reasons why from a fundamental standpoint, but from a chart standpoint, how would one approach KDA price with their own TA? So let's jump into that real fast. Yeah, KDA is getting slaughtered right now. I'm going to zoom out just a tad on the 4 hour, maybe leave. Yeah, this is good. All right. And I have everything nice and clearly labeled here. I mean, this looks pretty bad. Let me throw on some major EMAs. Maybe. There you go. The weekly 10 is way up. Daily 10. See if it might just be trying to touch something down there, but there's nothing, there's no major EMA that's hiding out down here, which would give it reason why it would blow past the horizontal and then come to the horizontal. This is looking really, really bad. I mean, its next pit stop is this blue line. I mean, this would be a pretty far fall, and this blue line is closer to 150, 148. I don't see much that's gonna hold it up. And if Ethereum and Bitcoin want to break down tomorrow, that it will trigger it all the way down there because it's already below this. So if I can zoom into this point here for KDA, the very, very small candles look like they're trying to use this as resistance. And you have lower lows right here. This doesn't look very good. However, KDA could work itself out by using more oscillations, and make it a series of higher lows without breaking this high here. It could work its way out of it to this effect, right? Because it is at that point. It does look like it wants to try to stick its landing, but for KDA, the very immediate price movement is, can it get above this level and use it as support? Let me show you these levels that I have. Top and bottom of this guy, if you want to make a similar blue box. It's really got to use 175 as a support if it's going to work its way back up to try to touch the daily 10 and use that as resistance as it's falling down. So if it can use this as support, you need to throw on the daily 10 EMA, which I will make white above. And so you have this fast approaching. So this daily 10 is potentially going to trap price here. And KDA is going to have to bust above the daily 10 if it wants to not fall below this. So I would, and that's another reason why I would expect this to bounce here, because price probably doesn't want to go that far aggressively away to the down direction, away from the daily 10 EMA. Price doesn't like to go too far above it, and price doesn't like to go too far below it, especially if Ethereum and Bitcoin aren't tanking down. Am I telling you long this, because it's going to snap back up? No, it really could just mosey its way sideways until this gets here. And then it goes down more because the white line, the daily 10, pushes it down. So don't infer from what I'm saying, that this is a long signal. This is weak. I would not be long in that right now. However, I would expect not much of a further. I would expect a bounce because just the general idea, Bitcoin and Ethereum are not bouncing. It's pretty far from there. It probably wants to touch it before it makes another leg down. Thus, you're either going to consolidate, go sideways, or bounce up to go touch it more quickly. So this horizontal that I have labeled behind me, plus the daily 10, that's going to be the most convenient things to look at. If you get a breakdown, the lower targets for this, let me go back to the 4-hour chart. The lower immediate target is about $1.50, but just under $1.48. But you have an origin line down here. So if it does accelerate to the downside, you're actually going to have a triangle that's going to be your trampoline here. It could stop anywhere in that triangle. It doesn't have to bounce at $1.50. It could want to touch this origin line way down here. And that would be closer to $1.40, $1.43. Making sense? And it could stop in the middle of the triangle too. It could just go, hey, trampoline, badoo, there we go. Now we're going to touch the daily 10, which is descending. So so when you have two supports or even two resistances that are fairly close to each other, usually price will touch the one that was farther away from original price. That's farther away. It'll usually want to touch that, then come back and use this as support since they're so close together. And same to the upside. If you had some like a descending line here, and price were racing up, and this is resistance, it'll usually, but this is also resistance here. Price will hit the top one and then go below both of them since they're so close together. And same here, it'll hit the bottom one, then come back to the one that's just above it. So this is your target if it just keeps getting slaughtered. I would be extremely surprised if it didn't bounce from there. Hell, I'm surprised it's to be in this week right here. I'm a little shocked. So sometimes you can start seeing news in the charts. I'm not for sure if this is so deviated. Yeah, I mean, this is to the point where there might be some news about, I don't know. There might be something fundamentally, there might be a FUD, somebody might be fudding with a major YouTube account. I don't know, but this has gone down like 30%. I mean, this is aggressive compared to most, and Ethereum's just going sideways here. So I'm kind of at a loss for words of why the acceleration to the downside has been so aggressive. But if you have been shorting around the daily 89, which was our clear resistance, as we have labeled here, and expected it to hit before it hit it the second time. So I made a video when it was right here on the origin line saying, keep your daily 89 in. But I did not short it here and hold on to it. But you're celebrating this if you're in shorts. So this is an exciting chart to the downside for sure. And I would not want to want anybody to interpret what I'm saying as, oh, it's time to long. It is not time to long. But also I have the opinion that if I were looking at this chart, I would say it's also too late to want to enter shorts. So I would kind of let this one chill out before I would try to enter any trades on Kadena. But these are all your key levels, the what, where, and why. But I'm not giving you much of the when because the when is on Bitcoin traditional markets. You might be targeting August 22nd for something new to happen. That's when I think the timing of somewhere around there. It doesn't have to be on August 22nd, but essentially next week. It's going to be next week. So Monday through Wednesday is kind of my guess of when we're going to get an answer of the overall direction, strong direction for the next 10 days. And that's KDA follow-up for you. All right, OTA, hey, nice to see you. What are your downside targets for KuCoin shares and XPR? Okay, well, look. Oh, that's versus Bitcoin. Son of a bitch. What? Huh. It went all the way up to this wick. Wow. Who in their right minds would be market buying something that hard? Wow. Wow. That was a lot of buy pressure. Gee whiz. So XPR just had a nasty, short-lived, but very aggressive run up to the upside. Let's go see what targets it hit and what the hell it's going to do next. So as a preface, before I dive into this chart, whether it's Bitcoin or a stock with earnings reports and it's going up 60% in a day or whatever, the midterm timeframes they're just really hard to predict. I mean, hell, even short-term timeframes are hard to predict. You can usually predict a general pullback, but even after the first pullback, so you see behind me XPR's nasty run up. Let me put it on like the daily chart so you can see the candles a little better. This nasty run up, you can have a lot of unpredictability in terms of how far does it make a lower high? So you're going to continue the volatility in here. You're not just going to spike up, come down, and chillax. That ain't going to happen. The volatility will continue, and it's a little bit wilder to play. But you always have horizontals. You always have EMAs, even though it just blew through whatever. And so this looks kind of news oriented. And it was at a great juncture to explode like this, but the reaction above. So let's go dive into this chart and figure out what the hell's going on with it and where it's going to go. All right. From a trading perspective, what might have been an initiator of, what's this white line? There we go. That's the daily 10. Proton was staying above the daily 10, broke out above this trend line that I had drawn here, used it as support, and somebody bought it hard. Like, this is a lot of market buying. Like, this just blew through everything that I would have imagined it would stop it. So it did more than a 2x, 2.1x. And if you go down to the small time frames, so this was only a 15-minute. So most of this was only a 15-minute candle. Wow. That's a single person or entity doing that. So that's all happened in 30 minutes. The entire move. Wow. That is, I don't know. Smells like a YouTuber to me, but anyway. So it finally stopped its rally at this wick over here, just shy of this wick down. Oh, we can't see it. That wick right here stopped it. So let me do an horizontal, make a horizontal there at that wick, and it stopped on, yeah, that's on it. So it actually stopped a hair shy of it, a hair shy. Blew through the daily 89, which I thought was going to stop it, bounced off of it lower high, now is below its daily 10. So honestly, because it's below its daily 10, I think it has to touch this channel line and or this green line before it can do a larger, potentially lower high or continue going up. I don't see it going up above this, but before it can get a nice potential like midterm time frame lower high, because it's below the daily 10 and the daily 89 from which it should have bounced to put it a lower high, which it did sort of, but a lower high to this like here, up here. It has to now touch, something else before it can even try that. So let me do a projector tool so you can envision what I'm saying here. 45-degree angle roughly, something like that. This was your first chance to touch and hit. This was your second chance to touch and hit. Both of those are now out. Your third chance is the orange line. Your fourth chance is this horizontal from which the whole explosion happened. Right? And that actually, the green line actually makes sense because that was your explosion point. So come back and touch, like literally give up the whole run. Then people want some more and come back for some volatility to hit the 45-degree angle and a horizontal. So it could easily come back up to 0.005 here would probably be a target for this. So if this is going to make another move up, I would say you're going to have a triangle like this. Here are your three coordinates. and that is out to August 24th. It's to August 24th. This is current. It's going to bounce somewhere in that triangle as low as 0.003, or if it bounces here, 35.85. All right, so I'll just leave this kind of pinged in the middle. It's got to hit this black triangle before then it wants to come up to this line. And usually when it hits a, and that's an if, since it was so aggressive and it gave it all up essentially. But if it's going to make that lower high to this wick high, it usually, the timing of it usually has to do where it comes out. It usually, aligns with also a horizontal of what locally just happened. And a lot of times I like to say, okay, does the timing of this make sense? Where these intersect, does that give it enough time to reasonably bounce or to descend and then bounce? Absolutely. And so let's go ahead and put a price target in that. Bam. Close to 0050. Close. And the point at which you start getting real bearish, that not only was this, some type of fake out move, but you're going to accelerate down, is if you start using this line as resistance. Then you really could start accelerating down and never even have a chance. But I would highly suspect, save a big drop on Ethereum and Bitcoin. If Ethereum and Bitcoin do not drop, I would fully expect it to bounce from this point, but I don't see it bouncing before then, now that specifically the daily 10 and daily 89 have been lost. I'm pretty sure I would strongly, I think it has to touch that. And wow, what I would be interested to know what news event, this is almost definitely news in the charts, so there's something released if somebody could leave a comment on that, but let me see. Awesome, man. Yeah, I don't have anybody in the comment section describing, this person talked about it, or they released, something, or they partnered with BMW or Tesla or whatever. It looks like something in the chart there, because there's no way, you can see that in TA, because this all happened in 30 minutes. It's wicked, wicked, wicked move. And then you also said Proton and KuCoin shares. Wow, this one really went down more aggressively than what I anticipated. So this one was holding up really strong for a while. Man, it tagged the daily 89 once and just got demolished. And went below this origin line and used it as resistance. That is pretty bearish. So it's got to touch this first. Wow. All right. Well, KuCoin shares, I think, is actually kind of it's a fairly obvious play right now. It's not going to be an immediate play. So what I'm about to already say is not for like the 5-minute candles and trading that. But more over a, let's say, a 2-month perspective. KuCoin shares on midterm timeframes. What I'm about to say is not going to help with trading, 1-hour chart and below. But in general terms, this origin line right here was used as resistance. It fell below it, used it. So the move accelerated from this origin line. See this? See this origin line right here? Bounce. Where did it go to? Above this origin line. What did it use as support? This origin line. What did it use as resistance? This daily 89. And when did this move accelerate? When it lost the origin line. After it fell, what did it come up directly to use as resistance? An origin line. You get in the picture? So the key things for the next 60 days with KuCoin shares is this next origin line and the daily 89 EMA. That's it. So you're going to form a triangle here. This is very, very probably what's going to happen. Again, the purple line is the daily 89 EMA. I am actually on the daily chart. Let's go to the 1-hour chart. There you go. You're going to stay in this triangle. And the resolution of this, let me go back to the daily. This could take as long as September. The end of this is roughly September 22nd. I'm going to go ahead and label that. I'll go back to the... I'll stay on the daily for now. Boom. All right. Let me give you some price points on this. What it's going to do inside of there, I don't even want to guess. But we can dive into the short-term timeframes if you'd like. So essentially, what would initiate it to hit the bottom of the triangle? And then what would initiate it to, when do I have an edge of it hitting the top of the triangle? Which it easily could do. It could have a nice move up because the resistance is your daily 89 up there. All right, so let's dive into this. So these are your upward and downward points. And then the pinnacle of it around there, around September 22nd is at about 967. All right, so let's go into the 4-hour chart. A lot of people are going to be seeing this as a wedge, which this one actually makes sense. Wedge actually does make a lot of sense. But I don't use wedges. I use this right here. Oh, wow, it's way below it. I think this already has a strong edge of which one is going to be touched first, the top or the bottom of the triangle. Even though it's more than halfway up the triangle, I think there's an edge for this to be hit first. But it could be way over here. It could float around in the middle of this guy for a while. This one's going to be a little harder to read. Give me a quick second to think about this. It feels like I'm missing something here. This line is going to be important because it's 2 monthly, it's a monthly candle closure type of deal. I feel like I'm missing something though. Let me throw in some EMAs. I want to give you the tools that you need to try to play this chart a little bit better. The weekly 10 is more immediate resistance. What about the daily? Daily 55 essentially is the weekly 10. Yeah. So you're more immediate. The odds flip for the top of this triangle to be hit. Let me take some of these EMAs off. Is your weekly 10/daily 55, which on Bitcoin, they're almost always exactly together. Just like the daily 10 and 1 hour 200 EMAs, they're right together. I mean, they're the same thing mathematically, right? If the price of KCS can get above the daily 55, then you have a strong edge that this is going to be touched first. And you have and this is the daily 89 up here. Daily 55, daily 89. Daily 89 is making the top of this triangle. And until that happens, I think this is more probable. What you might have happen here is you could have a mini triangle within a triangle happen because this line that I just drew was the monthly, a couple monthly closures. So this daily 55 might need to push price below here because price won't fall below it without this blue line pushing it below. I'm getting close to giving you a good analysis now for what's going to happen in the middle of this triangle. And I'm looking at this, live, so I didn't plan this, right? Because you just asked me. But so for folks in the recording, I didn't plan this video. So the monthly line that you saw me plan out, the coordinates for that, or the price of that, is right around $9. So you can see it there. I don't have to say it to you. And so that's one tool. The daily 55 is your immediate resistance. Your larger time frame resistance, which should definitely get you to turn back around, is the daily 89, which is purple up here, which is forming the top. So using 1, 2, 3 tools in general, but perhaps forming this triangle, you might not have the same origin lines as I do, but if you want me to zoom out, that's where it is. So the bottom of this is the triangle based off an origin line, which you might or might not have on your chart. I would imagine you do not, but that's where this is coming from. And I showed you from the beginning of this why the origin lines are so important. It's all about the origin lines and major EMAs, and that's the only. So those are your tools in play. Origin line to the top, daily 89 at the bottom. For timing, it's got to resolve itself by September 22nd. That's your 2-month time frame. Your immediate time frame, you're using the daily 55 with this monthly line. That's your immediate play within a more 2-month play that I would expect on this. So I would think about KCS in 2 ways on 2 different time frames and using slightly different tools within those time frames. Hopefully that was a good visual and a good breakdown. Sorry it took me a minute to fumble through to figure out what are some really easy tools that are going to give you solid triggers that will automatically give you an edge one way or another, but I got it figured out. So, and the benefit of watching me kind of fumble through there is you can see I get the feeling like, I'm missing something. There's something there. And I hunt until I get it. So you just watch me do that live. So if you're ever not able to figure out, make sense of something, you simply have to keep hunting, because price, unless it's an altcoin that pumps off of news or something, like a YouTuber talking about it. But usually when you might feel confused, like, why did price do that? I was short, like I wasn't expecting it to bounce there. It's usually because you're missing something in the charts, because what moves price is the combination of multiple different groups of people seeing different things at the same point. And when they see things at the same point, that's what causes, something to move in one direction, which it was, especially if it's a reversal or a bounce. If direction switches, there is a reason. And if you're not able to see that reason, or figure out when does price start accelerating one way or another, or it's, you just can't quite tell, you just got to keep looking for those reasons and try to think, when are multiple groups of people that look in different things, when are they going to see something at the same time? And you saw me fumble through that process. And that's how I visualize. So I hope that this KCS one was helpful in more than one way outside of KCS price. All right, it is now 7 o'clock. And my back is starting to hurt. Ouch. All right, I'm not sure if there was any major news for Proton. I think it was its DEX launched around August 12th or so. All right, cool. Thank you for that, OT. I appreciate it. I might cover BNB. So I have a non-community member asking about BNB. I might do that. A little late to the party this evening, but in your opinion, what are so Ernie, Gene, nice to see you. Thanks for being a community member here. All right. In your opinion, what are the chances BTC will slide up to the top of the point of control before? Oh, the chances are really high that it goes to the top of the point of control first. Damn. It might make me a liar, but I think the chances are pretty high. Yeah, because it hasn't truly used it as resistance yet. So, yeah, I could see it easily coming up here again. Abso-freaking-lutely. That might have been its chance here to do it, though. That might be what was happening back here. And since Bitcoin's such a dog, that was its version of doing it. But still, I could easily see it coming up to 23,750. Very simply. Yeah, I think it might be a 50-50 chance, something like that. But they're definitely not bad chances at all. Not at all. Even if there's an EMA driving it down here, it doesn't matter. It could just wicks above and then goes below the EMA. So I'm not going to throw on EMAs here. It's just the structure would attract it for like a 2-hour candle or something. And then the closure of that candle or the next 2-hour candle would then respect the EMA that's driving things down here, like the daily 10. So let me throw on the daily 10. So yeah, there's the daily 10. Boom. So if it goes sideways, it could still wick up and then go below the daily 10. But the daily 10's right at it. I'm surprised it didn't try to hit it. Two things important crossing at the same time. I'm actually I'm surprised it didn't try it. It's kind of weird. Yeah, Bitcoin's being a dog. It is like a dead horse right now. Man, compared to what's been going on in crypto, it is that. But the tether dominance, as tether dominance is going down, which means people are taking tether and buying shit in crypto, the shit they're buying is not Bitcoin. And we've already identified that on this channel, over the last week and a half or so. It's extremely obvious, basing US tether dominance with Bitcoin dominance, right? You can tell very clearly that this is an altcoin rally led by Ethereum. And I apologize if you are one of those people who is like, Ethereum's not an altcoin. Well, I actually agree with you. It is essentially a supercomputer or more like an super operating system, Web3 operating system, but it's definitely not an altcoin. Anyway, that was my concern. By the way, I am a community member. Hey, all right, Philip Jow, why don't you have a darn emblem? Gosh, I got a couple people, and that's not something I can troubleshoot. I don't think there's anything I can do from my end to here, can I put user in? So I could put you in timeout. What options do I have? I'm gonna put Phil in timeout. That sounds hilarious. Thanks, YouTube, for giving me that option. I have heard people have good luck with YouTube support. Like they say it takes a week, but they say they almost always get an answer. When I've had issues with YouTube, I've kind of dug for the solutions myself, but in all the tutorials of troubleshooting I've done on YouTube for my channel, they all say, if this doesn't work, then just do support. And some of them will actually do it. And the support gets back to them within a week or something. All right. Anyway, so you might want to hit them up. It's not something I can do. So targets for BNB. Yeah, I will cover BNB. All right, I have not looked at BNB price for a while, so you're going to see me piece this together similar to what I just did for KuCoin shares. It might be a similar thing where you're going to have EMAs driving it down, you're going to have horizontals here, you're going to form a triangle and go sideways for a while, and you're going to have a data resolution. That's pretty much what's happening for Ethereum and Bitcoin and even traditional markets as well. So I would assume that that's what I'm going to go attack, but I will try to enter this chart in an unbiased fashion and give you the best analysis that I can provide. Here we go. BNB. I don't have BNB saved on my watch list. It's weird. All right, so before I even look at price, okay, this is the 5-minute chart, so this isn't really looking at much. I already know what's in play is the daily 10 on all of crypto and the weekly 10. I think this is the weekly 10. And the daily 89. Which I already have on here. I don't see any on this 5-minute chart, but I'm going to throw those on immediately because for both Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's the daily 10. Up higher is the daily 89. And in the middle of those is the weekly 10. So they should be in this order. You should see purple, red, and white when I scroll up. Potentially up. I don't know if I got to scroll up or down. But I'm going to zoom out. I'm guessing purple on top. No. So it went above it. Went way past it. So that's bullish as crap. It did something more. It's even hotter than Ethereum structurally. Wow. Okay. I am impressed with this, actually. I'm surprised it went that high. All right. So what am I impressed about? See this structure here? This is the equivalent of Bitcoin 28 to 31K. So this went to the equivalent of maybe 33, 34K Bitcoin. It is way in front of Bitcoin. And I believe structurally, Ethereum hit its head on this, and this has done so this has even been hotter than Ethereum. Perhaps not on a percentage basis from here to here, which I'd actually be curious, but on a structural basis, it's been even hotter than Ethereum. That's 83%. What has F done? I think ETH has doubled. Or maybe not doubled, but no, that'd be 16. Yeah, that's 130%. So from a percentage basis, so you see how ETH hit its head on the same structure right here? Look. See that? ETH hit its head on the top. See that? Same structure. It actually technically didn't even get to the top of it. But structurally, BNB is outpacing even Ethereum. All right, so let's go back to this. So I am automatically impressed by this. So you're not going to have the same pressure down from EMAs that I was suspecting. This is something. This is among the hottest things out there. Wow, I should probably be covering this a little bit more. This is some real strength. All right, but the same three EMAs are in play. Again, the red is the weekly 10. The purple is the daily 89. And this has been the resistance for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has only done up to here, right? Bitcoin touched the daily 89, and so did KDA. KDA, that altcoin got above the daily 89 and it's crashed down. This is hell. This has got above it, used it as support, and then did another whole push. So your immediate support is extremely glaringly obvious. Daily 89, or yeah, purple and red, which is purple is the daily 89 and the red is the weekly 10. You need those two EMAs on your chart if you are trying to analyze BNB price. It is the chance of a bounce there, which happens to align with what? The bottom of this channel here, or the bottom of this consolidation. So you have a triple support. Triple support. That's it. That's an S. Sorry. Triple support. Horizontal, daily 89, and weekly 10. Because it's already lost or gone below the white EMA, which is the daily 10, it's not going to have much of a chance to get above the daily 10 again until it's touched this triple threat zone. So it is going to form a triangle, kind of like I anticipated, but it's not with the same EMAs I anticipated. I'm really impressed by this. So what's getting ready to happen, this is short-term time frame stuff. So I can get rid of this. I'll pull this back for a minute. I'll slide that window over. So what's getting ready? Let me go to the 30-minute chart. All right, here are the same EMAs, right? What's getting ready to happen is you're going to very, very likely form a triangle. I don't know if it's going to be a pennant shape or whatever, but it's probably going to be more like a descending triangle. I don't know what type of triangle, but I would guess this one because of what? Because of this daily 10, which is going to act as resistance. However, if price gets above it and wiggles around it, this could turn into a pennant essentially, in which the daily 10 meets with these EMAs here, up a little higher, right? So that could happen. I would guess this. And so I'm going to label some of these price points here. First, let me make sure that I put this in the right spot. Yes, it's in the right spot. Okay. So this triangle is going to be a little smaller. It's actually going to be like this. All right. Now let's zoom in. And I'll put some price points and dates on this guy. There you go. Boom. We have to the downside 291. Immediate resistance to the upside around 310. Secondary resistance to the upside on the horizontal is 319. And if it does hit the secondary resistance up top, what you want to look out for is the daily 10 used as support after that? Because it could just be a failure pattern in which price, very similar to this, see this white there. Let me get rid of this. See this white line here? It's the daily 10. It got above it. Price got above it, but it's a failure pattern because when it came back down to it, it did not use it as support. That's a failure pattern. So if the secondary resistance is hit up there, then what you're going to want to focus on is was that a failure pattern above this daily 10 again, just to come touch this? I could easily, so it could go like this, and when it comes back to the essentially the triangle, so this daily 10 is going to form the triangle. Does it do a failure pattern, bust right through it, or does it use it as support? And if it does use it as support, you actually have a chance to get back above this and then continue onward upward. All right. So that's conditions for upside, and conditions for downside is using breaking 291 and using 291 as resistance. So those are both of your conditions. If to the upside, it's probably going to hit its head here, come down, use this as support, and then bust above. And conditions for the downside is, it could be a while, but it would go below 291, use 291 as resistance, and then bust down. And those are the two ways that you're going to get out of this small zone here, which this is an 8% range. I guess it's tradable within an 8% range, but it's not exciting. It's nothing sexy and super volatile. So, and I would expect some potential sideways for a while. So the vector, the timing on this, how long this could take to resolve itself one way or another. Another thing pointing to August 22nd, August 23rd. There have been a couple things in the live chat today that are pointing to the same damn area. So this one's saying about August 23rd. You'll know the answer to its next move by then or before. And these are all the key things that should keep you with a strong understanding of where BNB will go next, where it can bounce, and if it does look like it bounces, where is it going to bump its head again? And then the timing on when volatility will pick back up, I would say August 23rd or before, but until then, it's going to be rather boring, most likely. That's BNB for you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Okay. All right. Awesome. Solana. Hell yeah, I'll talk about Solana. All right. I'm going to wrap up with covering Solana. And again, the whole consensus and the way charts are moving in crypto, it's all pretty similar. You have horizontals that price is bouncing on or coming down to, and you have EMAs that have been resistance that price has been bumping its head on that are also racing to those horizontals, and price is bouncing on the horizontal and using the EMA as resistance, and they're coming to a triangle. It's making this type of shape across all of crypto. A couple of them are using different EMAs, but everything's forming the same. So I would suspect that we're going to spot something similar on Solana. And we're going to use the same three EMAs that were used on Ethereum and Bitcoin, and actually traditional markets are the same three EMAs. My purple line that you're going to see is the daily 89. The white line is the daily 10. 10 and 89, white and purple. The red is the weekly 10 EMA. And then we're going to identify some horizontals. I'll label them with exact prices and everything. And then I'll try to time when does a resolution of this sideways choppy action, when does volatility pick back up? I'll help you time it as well. But timing the market isn't possible, but it's more like a goalpost, right? Like maybe around here. And let's get it. All right. From a structural standpoint, up here is where Ethereum got to, which is the equivalent of 31K Bitcoin. This wick up here, this structure, that's 31K Bitcoin. This is 28K Bitcoin. Ethereum got to here, and BNB got to here. So BNB got to the equivalent structurally of 34K Bitcoin. Ethereum got to structurally equivalent of 30K Bitcoin. And Solana is at the structural equivalent of, it got to maybe 26K Bitcoin, maybe a little bit higher than what, maybe about the same. It actually looks pretty freaking similar to Bitcoin, but I think this is a little closer to this horizontal than Bitcoin got. So from a structural standpoint, this is following Bitcoin very, very, very closely, way more closely than BNB and Ethereum are. And that is not the greatest thing, because this isn't This is a layer one Ethereum initiated rally. Like this rally in crypto is being led by Ethereum. Well, technically by the stock market, but what's causing it to be slightly hotter is the idea that the tether being deployed, which means people are buying crypto with tether. You can see tether dominance going down. It's pretty much all going to altcoins. That's why Bitcoin's not doing jack shit. And this is going along with the ride, comparatively not doing jack shit, which is not the greatest. So just keep that in mind from a buyer, a long-term perspective. The macro, I guess, sentiment of this is it's not participating in the hotness of this rally. Rather, it's more so being pulled up by the ear by traditional markets, but it's not doing its own legwork. Does that make sense? So the buyer base of this are not getting excited. I want you to fully identify that. Is that a horrible thing? No, not necessarily. They just had their blockchain kind of do some weird things. While they might be figuring stuff out, and the next, great project that they do, it'll bring it back up. But as of now, this is being dragged up by traditional markets, and it's not doing its own legwork. Please know that that's what's happening structurally. All right, and I'm not footing on this. It's just it's the facts in the charts. Literally facts in the charts, okay? And I don't know anything about the fundamentals of this really. So I don't want to be interpreted as I'm footing on it. Just I'm trying to prepare you I'm trying to show you what's visually happening in the charts. Okay. You have a cliffhanger on this one. So you're going to have an immediate cliff right here from wick to wick, right here. As long as you're above this, and I'll label this perfectly for you. Watch. I promised I'll get this nice and clean. Boom and boom. So the bottom of this box, 3760. The top of the box is 4004. And I got this from the wick down here. And this, wick up here, and the wick down. So wick down, wick up, meet perfectly. Bam, that's a line. Another wick down, which is exactly this wick down. Bam, that's a line. So price likely won't bounce until it hits 3760. It has a chance to bounce at 4004, but it looks like it's already breaking through, so it's probably going to wait to bounce till 3760 for your short-term time frame stuff. So we have our major horizontal, and really this is a big horizontal. I mean, there is not really another clear horizontal below this, so if it goes below, it's probably going to start using this guy as resistance, honestly. It's not going to have a lot down here to save it. So this is a pretty big line in the sand for Solana. So you need this on your chart, okay? All right, here we go. Now, EMAs... This is going to be irrelevant for now, so I can get rid of that. Get rid of this. I can take this back a little bit. Oh, these were my bear market targets. Okay. All right. Don't get distracted by these guys. All right. EMAs to use on your Solana chart, so you can do your TA for yourself, as I'm not covering Talana. That's your daily 89. That's your daily 10. That's your weekly 10. Here's the triangle that's getting ready to form. I'll just put these together, daily 10 and the weekly 10, just roughly like this. And I'll make it red or pink or whatever. All right, so it's an extension of roughly these two together. So these two EMAs coming down at almost the same pace, not quite the same pace, but it's probably going to be the weekly 10, so it's going to become a little slower. I apologize. I might have to extend this. I think it's going to be the weekly 10 that's going to get it, but if Solana's a little weaker, there are two time frames this could really fly down. If the weekly 10 pushes it below this horizontal, because it's going to bounce here likely until one of these white or red push it below. Does that make sense? Because it's like a black hole, escape velocity or whatever. Anyway, I guess that's maybe a horrible analogy, but it's going to bounce and it can't get above. Won't go below. Won't go above. Won't go above. Or won't go below, won't go above. Has to go below because it can't go above, it now must go down. And so therefore the resistance will win the war. So it's essentially a battle between this resistance and this support. Which one will be stronger? Could it bust up? It absolutely could. But this is what you're looking for the slow version. This could play out in two ways. And so the timing on this could take you all the way to September 6th in this case. So let's label this September 6th. The other way this could happen is it could play out much faster. The daily 10 here and if this is used as continuous resistance, then this could play out a little friggin' faster. August, maybe even earlier than that, because this might go down a little faster. Hold on. Yeah, maybe more like this. And that's August 28th. So here's how to play this chart in the immediate sense. Breakage to the downside is 37.39. If you go below it, you're very likely going to use this whole box. You might come up to 39.62, but you're going to use it as resistance and probably get your head smacked down by these EMAs that are going to be falling on your face. So if it breaks below this line, then these will push it, and it'll probably zoom back up. These are very, very, very likely going to push it back below if you break this line. If this line can hold as support, as these EMAs are approaching, it's possible it breaks up out of here. But if it does break up out of the white line, you could just jump in from this triangle to this triangle here. So you just go from one triangle to the next, and you have to beat this level 2 triangle. Does that make sense? So a triangle within a triangle. You have this triangle here with the weekly 10. Again, two ways this can play out. So don't get excited if it busts out at August 28th or whenever it happens above the daily 10, which is immediate resistance. Then it's going to bump. It's going to have a hard time getting above the weekly 10. It could fall right back down, back to 37.39, get stuck. And then when it comes to here, it could bust up as well. Then you would probably be, it'd probably be a stronger move at that point. But these are the three things, the main things that I think the daily 89 is out of play, so we can get rid of that. But for here, I have the weekly 10, the daily 10, and this one horizontal, and it forms a triangle similar to what SPX or the S&P 500 is doing, similar to what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing, BNB is doing. It's just the same thing is happening because this is a massive juncture on what's going to win. Is resistance going to win or is support going to win? And the big question again for all of crypto and the traditional markets is this a bear market rally, which implies it's probably concluded very soon because it's been very hot, or have we what we just went through? Is it a reversal and we're up and on to all-time highs at least in the traditional market from here, and we're at that juncture? That's why everything is essentially behaving very, very similarly because it's just a big question mark. And the traditional markets haven't answered the question yet. So crypto is just holding out. It's like hanging out until then. And so it's finding support and bouncing, but it's also not doing anything extravagant, getting back above immediate resistance. And it's forming a triangle until traditional markets say, hey, it's like the who wins the championship, and it is resistance wins, and we haven't had that announcement from traditional markets yet. I think resistance is going to win, and the markets will go down from here. I think the bear market rally is over, but make sure you're watching my Bitcoin analysis videos because I cover the traditional markets extensively on that, and I show you hints on when the probability slip that I will be wrong on that guess. I give you the exact levels and the exact chart to look at and the exact moment what you're looking for if my early call on that is going to be wrong, to help give the tools to be flexible in the event that my TA guess was incorrect. All right, and that's what we got for Solana. I'm going to go ahead and end the live chat here. I did do an hour and a half again. There we go. 7:30 again. Thanks for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. New York time. So Tuesday and Thursday every week. We'll catch you later.